just give up, okay? The system is rigged, and you will never escape wage slavery. If it were easy, everyone would have left already, right? So, since they haven't, I mean, let's be honest. You're not Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, although let's be real, even Elon seems to be struggling these days, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe I gave you hope with these wage slavery videos, and for that, I apologize. I should have given you hope, because there is no hope. You were programmed to be a wage slave forever. That's just the way it is, and there's nothing you can do to change that. You're simply no match for the system. So, from now on, I'm dedicating my time here on YouTube to make wage slavery more tolerable. That's right, we're turning a new leaf here. We're going to learn how to love being miserable in a wage slave society. Okay, look, truth be told, there is a lot to love about wage slavery. For example, the idea of a future? Gone. You don't have to worry about it. Poof. Society has already decided it for you. You will work and work until you reach retirement, and then you get to sit on a couch and eat ramen noodles because that's all your pension will allow. See? No stress, no existential crisis, just work, work, work until you collapse. Just get with the program, as they say. That's actually a funny expression if you think about it. A bit on the nose, don't you think? And if you're worried about your weight, don't be. The economy will take care of that for you. By the time you're retired, you'll be living off such a small pension that you won't be able to afford food. But hey, at least you'll be skinny. And isn't that what everyone wants anyway? It's actually kind of funny how we've been conditioned to admire being skin and bones. One could also suspect that it's just a way to normalize starvation for retired wage slaves. Of course, this wasn't always the case. People weren't always wage slaves. No. We were saved from the dark times before wage slavery. Back in the day, people worked to survive, but they also had free time. In medieval times, peasants worked less than modern workers do today. They had festivals, days off, and seasons where they barely worked at all. Good Lord, what a nightmare. Imagine having all of that free time, not having anything to do. No, we need to rethink this whole situation. Instead of dreading Mondays on Sunday afternoons, we should consider ourselves lucky to have our entire week of being busy ahead of us. No existential thoughts, no pointless hobbies, and heaven forbid, spending time with our families. Yuck. Just yuck. No, it's much better to look forward to Monday morning. Standing there in the break room, getting a fresh cup of coffee from the machine. You know, people think that this is just free coffee, but I say they are giving us free drugs to work harder. You know, when the Industrial Revolution came, it was a godsend. We no longer had to work to survive. Now we had a much higher purpose, making the rich richer than ever. And you know, what's really cool is how society has convinced us that we chose this. You know, like the pharaohs convinced people to build pyramids. Of course they weren't slaves. They did it because they got paid, just like you. You know, Noam Chomsky once said, the smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very little debate within that spectrum. Well, let's be honest, Noam was a bit of a party pooper, wasn't he? He just never understood the fun of working 9 to 5. Now you might be thinking, well, I'll just start a business, then I'll be free. No, no you won't. Because guess what? The system still owns you. Even if you start your own business, you're still playing that same game. You still pay taxes. Actually, you pay more taxes now. Bottom line, you're still dependent on a financial system that is rigged against you, and you still need customers, and guess who those are? Surprise, just other wage slaves. So you become a part of the problem. It's brilliant. Just think about it. If I start selling books, online courses, or digital products teaching people how to escape wage slavery, I'd still be profiting from the very system I claim to be escaping. You'd be spending the money you earn as a wage slave to buy my products, and in return, I'll be making money off the same system. The irony is that even an escape plan becomes part of the machine. Brilliant! It's nearly impossible to opt out without playing the game in some way. So, why bother? Just, give up. Just ignore any impulses to escape wage slavery because it's not possible. Ooh. In the financial system, it's designed to keep people desperate and trapped at work. Taxes, laws, constant economic changes, Trump tariffs, my goodness, you have to adapt all the time. But when you're a wage slave, you don't have to adapt to shit. You just do what they tell you to do. And if you lose your job, you get unemployment checks. It's a great system. The system will keep you fed and happy, but only as long as you are desperate enough to keep working for that paycheck. Now, some might say that it's cruel to dangle breadcrumbs in front of people just to make them work, but they're not seeing the bigger picture here. The point is, there are enough breadcrumbs to go around, meaning we can all be wage slaves together. It's brilliant. When Morpheus in the Matrix wanted people to unplug from slavery, Cypher was actually right. You just replace one slavery for another. They would work for him instead. And Tyler Durden in Fight Club, he wanted to burn the whole system down to the ground because it was evil. But notice how everyone who fell for his propaganda started to serve him instead. So, let's be honest, Morpheus, Tyler, just a bunch of lazy dreamers who didn't understand the beauty of endless and pointless work. So yeah, just give up. You will never escape. The system has already won. Stop whining. Nobody cares. Nobody will. Oh, and if you want to support my mission, consider joining my Patreon. It's about $5 a month, basically an hour of your labor. And in return, your name will be proudly displayed in the end credits, marking you as a distinguished supporter of wage slavery. As always, thanks for listening. Do me a favor, tap that like button to show your support. Subscribe if you want more content like this. Until next time, stay hungry, poor, and weak in your journey of escaping wage slavery. Bye, I'm out. Oh, you're still here. Oh, that's right. It's the behind the scenes vlog. Okay, this segment is where I share more personal things. It's mostly for my subscribers, but if you're new here, you're more than welcome to stick around. So, obviously, this whole video was a bit of a prank with a serious undertone. This week, I was really sick, some kind of flu. I was home all week, and it got me into a very dark headspace. And when I was writing the script for this episode, I was actually kind of depressed, and I didn't see much hope in my journey of escaping wage slavery. For days, I was even convinced that I wouldn't be able to make my business sustainable. So yes, the first part of this video was written with a fever. But still, there is some truth in the emotions I was going through. There is a bit of disbelief that I can build a business around this YouTube thing and escape wage slavery. But it's not because I don't think I can make money online. I know I can. Anyone can. But in order to make enough, see, here's my problem. Okay, so in my last video, I talked about the idea of escaping wage slavery by building a personal system. I put a lot of thought into it, and I was excited to release it on this channel. And within an hour of releasing it, I got a comment from someone who felt kind of offended by the video and decided to unsubscribe. And the reasoning was that I was trying to profit from their misery. We actually had a rather kind debate in the comments section. It wasn't some troll or hater. It was someone who genuinely was sincere. But it ruined my day because I kept thinking about it. Like maybe this person was right. Maybe I'm profiting from people's misery. And I spent hours thinking about this. And then I had this revelation. Yeah, I am absolutely profiting from people's misery. But when you think about it, so what? Like you won't stop buying food from a grocery store because they profit from your need to eat, right? But it still made me realize how many things we just accept without questioning. For example, have you noticed that firemen, they need fires to be started? Like otherwise they wouldn't be needed. Cops wouldn't be needed if crimes weren't being committed. Doctors wouldn't be needed if people didn't get sick. So some of these truths are so in your face that we don't even stop to reflect on the philosophical and moral implications. But it really puts things into question, especially when you start your own business. Like, will you do what it takes to earn money? Or is there perhaps something more important than money? And I guess what I'm trying to say is this. It's not about how much money you're making, it's about how you make that money. Whether you're a wage slave or an entrepreneur, do you stay honest with your customers? Do you sell to your audience no matter what? Because I gotta be honest, when I look around companies and other YouTubers and I see what they offer, I just don't really trust anyone, Like, I don't trust pharmaceutical companies. I don't trust Apple. I don't trust Google. I don't trust Tesla or even the bread company. That's why I actually make my own bread, but that's a different topic. Everyone is trying to squeeze as much money as possible out of me. And even when I was negotiating with the sponsors, I was always trying to squeeze more money out of the deal. But if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I've decided that I'm not going to do sponsored content on this channel. They would have to offer me like insane amounts of money for me to accept. But even with us wage slaves, we're so addicted to money that the most important aspect of our careers is how much money we earn. Like, we will negotiate as much salary as possible. And if we can't get it, we will trade a fun job for something that pays more. Everything is about making money. This money-making machinery that never ends. It's always about making more money. And, it's funny, I follow this blog of a Canadian couple. Yes, I actually do follow a blog, by the way. But this Canadian couple, they're into the FIRE movement and they live very minimalistic lives and they don't shop, they don't own smartphones, and they don't believe in social media, but they put all their money into Apple, Amazon, and Meta stocks. And from my perspective, it just doesn't add up, because if you're against something, how can you make money from it? You know what I mean? Now, another funny thing is my wife, she hates capitalism. Like, she's a bit of a lefty, I suppose. But she fully supports that we put all our savings into investment funds to grow our wealth. And I know what stocks we own. She has no idea, and she does not care, just as long as the portfolio goes up in value, It's kind of a funny, like, I'm not trying to make fun of my wife. It's just a funny observation of common human nature. We sort of manipulate ourselves. Most people will trash greedy companies, yet have no problem investing money into the most greedy companies. So, as I've started my company, obviously this dilemma appears. Do I sell you courses? Do I sell you t-shirts? I made a poll in the community tab a while back and you seemed fine with it. You seemed excited about all my suggestions. So why does it still feel icky, I still don't have all the answers, but I do have a vision in my head about how I want to make it work with a clear conscience. And it's basically by being more authentic than most companies out there. And just as a simple example, and this is something that I absolutely hate, When companies do a sale, like 50% off, just to trigger you to buy something, so you don't miss out on this opportunity. Or use psychological tricks like, hey, this course only costs $99.9. If companies were honest, they would sell it for $100. That's the weird part. But no, you think that they're doing you a favor because now it only costs $99. It's bullshit. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this weird video. Trying something new, I guess. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.